Welcome back to Kamen Rider Review, episode number 29. This I'm giving my thoughts on episodes 51 and 52 of Kamen Rider V3. And I'm going to give my final thoughts on this thing. I figured though, why not? Why do a separate video? Why just do the same thing? In episode 51, basically, this is the beginning and the end of V3. Like, pretty much the two-part finale to this thing. It's a two-part endgame. Where, by the way, in the case of Martial Armor, yeah, he's a mutant. Yep, they revealed that pretty much first revealed the Rider Man in episode 51, and then in episode 52 is basically revealed the Kamen Rider. The plot of this one is to unleash these rockets known as plutonian rockets at, various targets. Their first first one is the deserted island, and the second one is revealed to be Tokyo. Yep, and basically they fight to, Rider Man and Kamen Rider fight Destron to basically stop the launch of these rockets. One gets launched, but Rider Man's on it, and the thing explodes, apparently killing him. Though he comes back later on in, from what I read, he comes back in 5 Riders Against the Dark. There actually is a manga chapter to explain how the heck he survived that. Well, I did read Kamen Rider Spirits. Turns out he survived and ended up on an island near Japan. I think he up in Tahiti, where he got amnesia, ran into basically Martial Armor. I'll get to more into him in a minute. Where fight another version of him, and fights him, regains his memory, and becomes Rider Man again. Though his helmet's damaged. Yep, but that's how he pretty much survives. Basically, as explained in Kamen Rider Spirits, Chapter 6. Now, in the case of, the V3, like at one point, basically, after Rider Man apparently dies, basically V3 christens him Kamen Rider 4, and he is still Kamen Rider 4 to this very day. That distinction is never taken away from him. I mean, he's not called a Kamen Rider; he's referred to as Kamen Rider 4 as an alias, but he technically is the 4th Kamen Rider. I mean, heck, he's got the same power set as Kamen Rider, so why not? Yep. And then by the next episode, we have it where Martial Armor is defeated in his mutant form by V3 in the very next episode. Yep, he's defeated even after briefly taking the Junko and some Rider Scouts hostage. Also, they take the time to revive some dead mutants. Yes, they bring back, believe it or not, they bring back the Archbishop Wing's mutant form. Though for some reason, Martial Armor doesn't say anything about it. Like, I'm surprised even Kamen Rider himself points out, hey, did I kill you? Weren't you one of the strong commanders? Yes, they bring back that. And they also bring back, I think like on the plant monsters. They bring back like 3 of them in the final episode of the whole series. Yeah, they bring back 3 of them, which is quite shocking to say the least. Let's see if I can find them here, because basically my Chrome decided not to work properly when it comes to loading stuff up here. Okay, so basically the revived villains. I mean, aside from Archbishop Wings, his revived form, they also bring back Fire Walrus, who is one of the Tusk tribe members. Yep, he is brought back by of course, Martial Armor. And the other one is from Archbishop Wings group. The one whose episode was a literal remake of, I think it was episode 3, I think it was. Yeah, it was a literal remake of episode 3. So it's kind of like, okay, so they bring back one not associated with Tusk Tribe, one associated with the Wing Corps, and the Wing Commander himself. I'm like, really? You can bring back Dr. G. You brought back 3 monsters who 2 of whom have some associated with each other, the other one doesn't. Yeah, and they're brought back in the final couple episodes. Like in episode 52, they even captured a few Rider Scouts and, of course, they captured Junko. They even do something that I never thought would be possible, Kamen Rider. They actually break into the base operations of Rider headquarters. Yes. Apparently, they knew all along where it was, despite the fact it was kept very well hidden behind like several walls. But no, they actually found where it was. Could it be through one of the monsters they had possibly being there? It's possible, but never explicitly revealed how the heck they found out where their headquarters was. Did they wreck the place? No, they just basically just chop a wall up, knock down the chief, and take Junko. That's it. That's all they did. They didn't wreck any equipment, nothing. And well, then Kamen goes basically battle martial armor at the headquarters of Destron, while also looking for the leader, which I'll get to him. So they battle him. Of course, he gets defeated, and of course, you have to come around fight once again. You have to fight the leader's bodyguards. He has some difficulty with because they love doing flips, and they're also dressed in Nazi uniforms for some reason. I'm not sure why. Eventually, after all of them are defeated, then he finally gets a chance to touch the leader, and he removes the cloak, and it's a giant skeleton, where he proceeds to break it. And then he basically, like, reveals the true form of the restaurant leader, where it's a heart. And then he smashes the skull, and he basically goes, "Oh yeah, you defeated me? Well, that's it." Yeah, it's kind of weird, though. It's been anticlimactic how at least I got to praise the fact that V3 got a chance to fight the leader, compared to the original ones when they fought the Great Leader Shocker/Gale Shocker, where they check out his mask and he just dies. Yeah, well, he doesn't get a chance to meet him. Yep, and then, of course, the headquarters of Destron explodes, and Destron's done. And as far as I can tell for Destron, with the exception of Dr. G, none of the, and of course the leader coming back in our form, pretty much most of the organization itself is pretty much defunct. Yes. So, with the organization gone, basically V3 can relax, and basically he goes off on his merry way. Kind of weird, though, that kind of ended on that note. I would have thought, though, with the destruction of Destron, he might basically embrace Junko. He doesn't. And this is something I think I do have that I don't like about this finale. He doesn't embrace her at all. Yeah, he's a cyborg, but he can still basically... he knows Junko is in love with him, but it seems as though early on it's there, and then all of a sudden it's dropped for some reason. Yes, but I did enjoy watching 2 episodes. It's a nice wrap-up for the series, and I'm going to give my final thoughts on the series overall. I'd say for the series itself, the first... Let's start with basically its sets of episodes. The first 2 episodes basically had no general, just the leader and some monsters. I think these episodes are actually pretty good. And of course, bringing in the first 2 Kamen in the first episodes was a really good idea, just to establish the fact it's same continuity. So apparently killing them off in episode 2, that was kind of weird. But then revealing in episode 21 they're actually alive was a good move. And then having to begin with them in the movie they had, which was basically V3 versus Destron Mutants, and pop up again for 33 and 34, which was really good on the part of the show to do. Yeah, but the weird thing is about that is that even like after 34, they're dropped from the show without any explanation. When it's not as much as, let's say, Kamen Rider, where we introduce characters, drop for some period of time, and they're dropping an explanation. Yet they drop the freaking Kamen Riders. Yeah, it's like they're there. It seems like they're happy to be home. By the way, in case you're curious, where did they go after they apparently died in episode 2? Kamen Rider 1 went to Australia to fight Destron, and Kamen Rider number 2 went to America. You could presume they went back there, and then, of course, no. It's never what happened to them. Of course, you can see them again until 5 hours against the dark, which I'll probably get to that at some point. But what am I thinking? My final thoughts on martial armor. The guy is very petty, and as a matter of fact, I can tell by his expression on his face when it comes to firing the Pluton rockets, he did not seem very happy with it. He seemed very angry the fact we're using rockets now for some reason. Yeah, he did not seem in a good mood in these two episodes. That or probably the actor probably just mad the fact that they're going to kill off his character for the next episode. I'm not really sure. But the thing is, out of the four Deathstrike commanders so far, like, who do I think is the best one? Dr. G. Best one overall. Baron Tuss was okay. Archbishop Ring basically was useless. He was basically. And what about Martial Armor? The guy who was running even longer than the previous two. Aside from the fact he's petty, and he most of the time is not interesting at all. He doesn't emit much emotion at all, with the exception of the penultimate episode. He's like very boring as a leader, and he'll basically get rid of one person just because he's a threat to the position. Also, forgot to mention this: 51 basically a writer man overhears the leader. Well, apparently feels, oh yeah, I never really cared for him at all. I actually was just using him all along. And then it feels the martial armor like, hey, you know the guy we were talking about? He's standing right outside the door. And of course he's invited in. No, capture him in that instant. Nope. And by the way, he's like, yeah, screw you guys. That's what I'm probably thinking. Yeah. But I do think Ranma is an interesting character. I kind of felt as though that he basically, aside from his silly helmet per se, you might think is a silly design because Kamen is kind of silly at times, but he's a good character. I do like the fact they kind of had early on where he's like very like killing martial armor, and then eventually he smooths out toward the end of his adventure. I think killing him off in the penultimate episode of this run was kind of weird. Yeah, I'm not really sure what was the point of that. That or probably the actor was not available for the next episode. Not really sure. I've never heard of this before where you have a partner and you don't have him there for the final episode. Yes. But in the case of Tabashi himself, the chief, he doesn't do very much in these episodes. He does some fighting. But it appears as though he doesn't basically care to fight at all. Apparently he's so weak. I mean, it's only been maybe not very long since the last appearance. I mean, I highly doubt there's been a long period of time between the original Kamen Rider series and this one. Because the original one, he actually did pretty good amount of fighting. And he can hold his own in the fighting. Apparently, maybe the writers of E3 just didn't give a damn about him. So a lot of time he's pretty much useless as a character. He's there for advice, and whenever he gets to fight, he's fights very briefly. Like he bows like 2 grunts, and that's it. In case previous one, he basically has hold his own for quite a while, and he basically has taken down the Shocker commanders, Kamen, no problem. Here it's like the writers just didn't want him to do anything. Why? Because they think he's old? Also, I think this is kind of weird. Why was it that he was called Pops a lot of the time? Because I saw in the sub, basically, in the for Kamen Rider, that he's referred to as Boss a lot of the time. And then you get to this one, he's referred to as Pops. Not really sure why they changed what they call him, and this is only the Kamen Rider is calling him this. Everyone else calls him Boss or Chief. And here's the thing about the Writer Scouts. I think bringing him back in here was a really good move on the part of the writers. Switching headquarters up was an interesting idea. Very small space. From what I've read, apparently the finale for this particular series is the final time we see the original Writer Scouts. They have a version that pop up in another series, but this incarnation of them, this is pretty much done. Yeah, they're pretty much disbanded for no reason, because Tabashi basically comes the next one. He's basically a manager at some restaurant, and there's no mention of Writer Scouts. What happened to him? Don't know. And here's the weird thing: how the heck can he afford to run the Writer Scouts? I mean, he doesn't pay them. Well, he does have a store, which, from what I can tell, barely has any customers anyway. So I'm thinking, number one, where's the guy get the money from? Because basically, a lot, and here's also something interesting though. A lot of the time now, it just seems as though that Juko herself was good early on. Then she got reduced to be a damsel in distress. I think that basically making her a constant target for kidnapping was basically something that hurt her character a lot. And she very rarely got in development over the course of 52 episodes. Some of these episodes, she barely appears. Also, I think introducing the character Ken Samuka was a good idea, except that it seems as though, like, he pretty much became useless after the final 2 episodes of Dr. G's run. Because when you think of when he was there for the Baron Tusk episodes, the guy did practically nothing. He didn't do much fighting. He didn't do much fighting again after 30 episode 35. He fought briefly to help Kamen Rider against like Bloody Mammoth. But aside from that, it's not really much to him at all. He disappears. Like, he's last seen in the series, take commanding communications post episode 36, just so Junko and her brother can help out Kamen Rider. After that, never seen again. What happened to him? Do not know, because they do not explain what the heck happened to him. He is by far the only character who appears in the series who's an original character for this run, and he's dropped without any explanation. I had this feeling that he was brought in to be basically similar to the FBI guy from Toguchi from the previous series. Yes, I felt as though he was brought in for that. But apparently they made him kind of weak, where apparently he's not that good of a fighter. The other guy was actually a pretty good fighter. And actually hold his own for quite a while against all the grunts, while Kamen Rider fights, well, the monster of the episode. That's normally what he was there for a lot of the time. This guy can basically be up like 1 or 2, then he gets overwhelmed pretty quickly. I don't know, it's like he's making him Interpol agent is interesting. At least he has a good reason to be there, unlike the FBI, who usually they have to get permission from the Japanese government to have a branch, basically a presence there. Interpol doesn't really need much of a reason because they have branches. Mostly throughout Europe, and some places around the world. At least Interpol at least better than a reason for it. Yes. But what I think of Destron itself, I think it was an interesting idea for criminalization to be based a bit of supernatural. Really interesting idea. Also, they did keep the trope by basically whenever monsters defeated, they explode. They did that for pretty much almost the entire series. And then for some reason, during the final dozen episodes, they went back to how the series first started with original Kamen Rider, have them just turn to goop, or splat, or turn to foam. I mean, heck, the final monster, who is not the leader, the martial arms uniform, at least he actually freaking explodes. While his predator is the previous monster, he turns to foam. Like, seriously? Why the heck went back to this for? I had no problem with the exploding mutants thing. I had no problem with that. It's not effective in beaten. But they turn to foam or turn to guck? What the heck is this? Why are we going back to this bullcrap for? Now, I do have some funny feeling about this, that maybe toward the end of the original of this V3 run, that maybe the ratings started to dip. That's probably the reason why I introduced Raider Man. And it seems as though also stuff is going a little too quickly for pacing wise. Like maybe V3 was meant to be longer than 52 episodes, but my guess is the ratings were not working out too well with after it seems like Dr. G's stuff wrapped up. It seems as though that they planned maybe do more, but ratings kept slipping during this run. So that could explain why the next 3 are really short. By the way, the very next Kamen Rider series will be Kamen Rider X. Yes, the next one cover. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I wouldn't have time to do one more video, but I'm going to say that for a little bit later. I got to get going soon. And so, next, I'm going to go back to Flashman, and then I'm going to start up, as I finish Flashman, it'll be The Great Jaw Would Not Be Defeated. Now, you're probably thinking, what's going to do next? Am I doing another Kamen Rider series or Super Sentai? No. I am actually going to start up, as soon as I finish up The Great Jaw Won't Be Defeated, I'll be starting up a Metal Hero series. You're thinking, Metal Heroes? Really? You start up that? Yep. I'm going to start the very first one, Space Sheriff Gavin. That review series probably come out next week. Probably when I get a chance to finish the Flashman and Great Jaw Won't Be Defeated. The Great Jaw Won't Be Defeated is only 20 episodes. I'll get to that as soon as I finish watching Flashman. Flashman will start today, but probably have to wait a bit, okay? Next video. Bye.